ever find yourself going back to a painting that you already thought was finished? I'm not sure if it's social media or just a feeling of, general impatientness, but I often find myself looking at my painting and going back to it and tweaking little minute details even when I think it's done. So this painting here might seem very familiar to you. Last video I worked on it for my Christmas holiday portrait painting, and I ended up going back to it because I felt like I could bring out the background in a more unique, interesting way. So I went out, I grabbed some masking fluid, and I started experimenting with my Granulating Watercolor palette. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. I just came back from PT, so I'm a little bit tired right now. Today is the 11th, and today I'm just gonna be doing some painting. I want to make a companion piece with this artwork that I completed. The goal today is to warm up and then sketch out a companion piece to this painting. I plan on making it very similar in style. I did recently go back and rework this yesterday, and I'm hoping to be able to make a companion piece using the same cold pressed paper and a new tool that I want to continue using and get comfortable with in the new year, which is masking fluid. So I did pick up some masking fluid. So I did pick up some Turner's masking fluid, and I used it yesterday for the first time, and I really like it. I want to be able to use it more. And experiment with it in my paintings, level up in my artwork and stuff. So the plan is to make a companion piece today, or get started making a companion piece. The next two things I picked up was some Arches watercolor paper. So I got both hot press and cold press paper. It's a small pad of paper. I'm not sure exactly what I want to use it for yet. I was thinking I can use them for some mini originals, or just some originals I can put up on my shop, some studies, anything really, maybe even some commission work. I'm not sure yet. But I have a lot of hot press paper, but I really wanted to try out some Arches cold press paper. So this paper that I used for this painting is in hot press. It's studio grade watercolor paper. And I don't typically use hot press paper at all, but I really like the texture, and I also think that granulating watercolors just come out very interesting and unique come out in a very interesting, unique way with cold press watercolor paper. And I want to experiment more with using my granulating palette on cold press. I feel like the texture with the granulation is very cool and interesting, and I would like to experiment more with that. I created this small granulating watercolor palette to bring more interest and texture to my paintings, since I don't usually do a flat background. Yet I still find myself very free to use it, and I'm not sure that's because like they're expensive paints or I'm just like not used to the palette yet, so it's a little harder for me to want to pick up these paints at the moment. Using the cold press paper overall challenged me and helped me figure out how I wanted to use this palette. Most of the colors in this palette are from Schmincke, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, and Daniel Smith. I will link each paint in the order that it's swatched in the description down below. In addition to these paints, I also picked up some granulating watercolor palettes that are handmade, and I will link that shop down below as well. Here's a swatch of those handmade watercolors, and I also had some sample swatches that I wanted to share as well. When I start painting on hot press paper, I did have to change the way that I painted and add more layers of interest each time. I noticed that gouache sits in a very interesting way on cold press paper, and I don't know if it's just the way that I use it that it sits that way, or maybe that's just something that I have to work with, or it could be anything. But I noticed that it gives this texture that I find very close to color pencil in a way, and I like it, but I don't know if I will use it for portraits. Maybe I'll do it for like pet portraits, but not human portraits. I don't know yet, but I find it very interesting and I really like how it turned out, but I'm not sure going forward if this is the right paper for me when painting human portraits. I still have one space left in my granulating watercolor palette, so if you have any suggestions on which color I should add to this small palette, I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much in advance. Even though I was really worried about how this second portrait was gonna come out using the same paper that I did before, I figured the fastest way to build confidence in using this paper in the way that I do is to continue practicing with it. So once I've completed a couple of other paintings I have waiting on the side, I'm hoping to do some more experimenting with this paper. I did find myself struggling a little bit when I was painting the scarf. I kept going back and forth and the colors just weren't coming out exactly the way that I wanted them to. So I did have to take a break and then come back to it and rework it until I kind of got the same color that I was looking for. Eventually everything worked out, but I did find that I was having a hard time remembering how I like to paint the scarf, I guess, and just kind of repeating what worked before with this new painting. In the end, I'm sharing this process with you and what I thought was the final painting, but I still think that I want to go back and rework the background again and maybe give it some deeper contrast and interest. I wasn't going to use masking fluid on the background, but now I'm reconsidering it because I wanted to have the same general feel as the last painting. And at first, I was sure that I wasn't going to use masking fluid, but after looking at it, after taking a break from this painting and then looking at it again in the final edits, I would love to go back and rework it. So if you're interested in seeing what the final painting looks like, keep up to date on my Instagram. I promise I will post a picture of both the paintings together so you can see the final look of both of them. Hopefully it will actually be the final painting and I don't feel like I have to go back and rework it. Sometimes you just have to say, that's it and not overwork a painting. So I'm still trying to find that balance. I feel like one more pass with my granulating watercolors and then I will definitely be done with the second painting. Thank you so much for being here. I hope to see you all in the next video. Please like and subscribe and I will catch you in the next one. Bye. Take care.